Let's return to those changes that President Obama has announced to the way the United States gathers its intelligence. We can again speak to Joel Brenner, former Inspector General of the US National Security Agency, who's been patiently sitting in Washington. My apologies to you, Mr. Brenner. You were saying you thought it was a good speech by striking a balance. Please go ahead.
Yeah, you know, intelligence agencies are powerful in secret. Democracies distrust power and secrecy. Restoring the confidence that the public needs to have, that intelligence agencies are not misbehaving and are doing what they're been instructed to do, and only what they're instructed to do, is very important. And I think that was the president's principal task in that speech today, and I thought he did it quite well.
It won't satisfy the critics, though, will it? Because there will be, you used the correct word there, trust. The whole question is trust, because we in democracies can't know what the intelligence agencies know for obvious reasons. So we have to trust them, and we have to trust the oversight. And what Snowden has done is diminish considerably that trust. Yes,
he's also yielded a lot more heat than light to the whole matter. And he has diminished the trust, no doubt about it. I believe, and I argued when I was in the government, that this kind of conversation should have taken place long ago at the instance of the government. And had it taken place then, I think there would have been more light and less heat. But it didn't, and we are where we are now. And since you mentioned Snowden, thanks to him, the people in governments of places like Russia, China, and Iran know lots more about how we collect intelligence against those and other governments than they did before, than their own people know about what their intelligence agencies do. Friends of the West can't think that's a good idea. And that kind of disclosure has been terribly hurtful. Our collection against terrorist networks has severely fallen off. Our relations with allies has been harmed. And that has had nothing to do with civil liberties either in this country or in your country.
Do you think that in terms of, this is a fairly narrow point, but it's one which could move things forward in the United States, do you think any of this will stop some of the legal cases against the NSA, or some of the outrage, I suppose one should say, both from the left of politics and from the right of politics, that somehow something fundamental has been damaged here in the way Americans like to think of their country?
You were saying earlier, a moment ago, that there's some people that weren't going to be satisfied, and you're right. There are people, especially on the left and the right, far from the middle, who are never going to be satisfied when people strike a balance. But as I said earlier, the president, people behave differently when they have actual responsibility for protecting people. And the critics on the far left and the far right don't have that responsibility. So they won't be satisfied, but most people will be satisfied. Most people now in the United States are satisfied. But one of the things that's happened because of the way these disclosures have come out, we've got a quarter of the people in the United States think NSA is listening to their phone calls. This is foolishness. It's just not true. One of the remarkable things about this intelligence scandal, unlike any other in British or American history, is that NSA hasn't been accused of running a program that violates the law. People say that it's unconstitutional, but what they really mean is they wish the courts would declare it unconstitutional, and they haven't. And more than a dozen federal judges have authorized NSA to do what it's been doing. At the same time, that doesn't mean there aren't serious issues of public discussion, including, for example, of the deference we're going to pay, and we will pay now, to the privacy of people abroad. We're going to do a better job. Well, we're going to do that, but we're not going to stop collecting intelligence against legitimate foreign targets who intend to do us harm, and we shouldn't.
Joel Brenner, thanks very much for your insights. Also, thanks for your patience. Thank you for joining us.